Well, here we're demonstrating a welding procedure done in the air from ropes. 100% containment, of course. We got these open windows just for y'all's viewing. In the field, we'd have those windows completely filled up. All this has been pre-rigged to rescue, as far as pre-rigged to lower. That system that he's actually hanging on, we could lower down. In a case where he were to pass out, have an incident where he couldn't bring himself down, we could lower him down with the personnel, not even having to retrieve him. We can lower it all from there. He's set up through a system with a pulley, along with the containment he's in. That hooch, we can also lower it down without actually having to go up there and bring it down. We can lower everything down from the ground without actually sending a rescue person up there to retrieve him. He's got 2 points of contact from his ropes, working line and a backup line. He's also got his third point, which will be a hard link. So if catastrophe were to fail as far as both of his points of contact, he still has that hard link, which could be anything from a yo-yo to a steel sling, which he's using now. So again, right now he's actually at 3 points of contact, one being that hard link, we call it. And like I said, in the field, as far as the bottom being done, we got it temporarily just closed, but in the field we'd have it where the bottom of that fire blanket would be like a Velcro system or a pull rope, where if we were to have to lower him down, the weight of his body would open up that Velcro and allow him to come down. Or we would have a secondary pull rope where we could actually pull that, and one of the levels of that fire blanket would open up and allow us to bring him all the way to the ground. Anybody got any questions? Yes, sir. We got different hooches we could build. So if we were actually in the plant or in a facility where there was, a pipe rack and different supports, we can use different, 9-wire with the fire blanket. We could build our own, but as you can see here, we don't have any structure or anything around it. So the best idea was to come up with to build this little hooch out of the scaffold. Everything is hard clamped, not just a pin type scaffold. Everything is right angle clamped and bolted, and then we just raise that where that structure can be raised and lowered back to the ground using all ropes. Nothing was used with any equipment to set any of this gear up. All the way, as far as you're wondering, how do we get our ropes over that beam? We actually have a slingshot system we'll show y'all later where we can actually shoot a rope over there, tie on our rigging, pull our ropes over. So there was no JLG, no scissor lift, nothing was used to set this whole entire system up. Everything was done from rope axis from the ground up. We have 2 rope protectors. We got a rope protector that he's got, a Kevlar rope protector that's right there. Of course, everything above is above the fire containment. Everything below is what we'd not too much worry about. But right there we have his Kevlar, and again, we have that third point, which is a cable sling, which is his third point of contact, which we call a hard link. So we use that hard link for anything with fire potential, grinding, cutting wheels, torch, and welding. We actually raise the firebox. As he comes through the firebox, he pulls the bottom layer of the fire blanket across. Correct. He comes up from the bottom, and when he's ready to be finished, if y'all want to see that, more than well, we can actually let him rappel down and finish the process as far as coming down. If y'all like to see that for a minute.
I'd say yeah.
Okay. Gustavo. Yes, sir. If you want to button everything up, wrap your cord, and then go ahead and come on down. Disconnect from your hard link, and they want to come through and open your bottom blanket and then just rappel to the ground. And I would like to add, even though this is all a pre-rigged lower rescue system, in a situation where we didn't have a pre-rig, which 90% of the time we try to rig all of our rope gear a pre-rigged lower. That saves you from having to send a rescuer to the casualty. But we can, and we are experienced in actually sending a person up there, snatching onto that guy, de-rigging him and lowering down with him on us. That's something also we've been trained to do as far as rope access. Good job, Gustavo. What we're demonstrating here is a guy doing phase array. This is that situation I was telling you. We really don't even have to have a person that's rope access personnel to even climb. We could send this person on a tramway system and actually send them out to the location they got to be inspecting. So here we're going to have him get on the ropes. Once he settles down and gets on the ropes and actually is suspended, then our personnel can actually transport him across the system, the tramway system. Now, mind you again, everything that he's doing here is attached by 2 points of contact. He's got 2 ropes. He's got 2 tight lines that he's transferring on. He's also got 2 ropes that are going through pulleys that allow them to work everything from one location. They don't have to be somebody over here pulling him one direction, somebody over here pulling him the other. We got everything redirected to pulleys, so as far as your personnel can work all from one location. But everything he's got is 2 points. Each 2 ropes pulling him one direction, 2 ropes to retrieve him back one direction, 2 ropes that he's actually traveling on. Along with each piece of gear, you look up there, he's got 2 points of contact, 2 separate pulleys to work on the trolley system, 2 separate pulleys going one direction, 2 separate pulleys going back the other. Along with 2 sets of, he's got 1 rigging block, which has got where you can attach multiple points of contact. Along with the second point to all that whole system will be that sling that you see on that rigging block. Or some situation where there might not be something to anchor straight above. You know, there's some certain situations you don't have nothing to anchor to. So you might have to build a system. You know, let's say a line in between 2 towers. You have nothing above you but sky. So you can actually do this system in between 2 complete towers and transfer and do this work on an overhead line that crosses, you know, between 2 towers. So same system, same setup, would just be a little bit longer, and you know, the longer stretch. And with this type of system that he's working on, at any point in time, if something were to happen to him, he'd fall out, pass out, get hurt in an emergency, he can be either brought down to wherever he's at, he can be brought all the way down here past the location he's working and be dropped to the ground, or be pulled back to where he started from. And again, being that I was talking about this double system here, let's say where he's pulling now, right? That's a redirection. Let's say those were to fail where he's being pulled out. If those ropes were to fail, he's still got another point. Along with, if we have to retrieve him back, he still has 2 points. So again, everything is backed up with another point of contact. So here our guy, he's go ahead and pulling basically a mechanical advantage system. He's got a ID that's basically a capture. And he's using that Jumar, just another point of contact, running through that ID, acting as basically a pulley system, a 3-to-1. That gold device you're seeing, it's just a backup device. That's just a rope grab. Every time he pulls, he backs it up with that gold device. Now, once we got him vertically above where we want him to be, my backup system, his tight line that he's actually hanging on, his main points, the blue rope you see with the double pulleys on, our back system here can start letting loose and lowering him down. Or we have that yellow rope system where his pulleys are going through the yellow ropes. We can lower him down that system also. Like I said, this method here, it could be used, a rope access personnel can actually physically climb it himself across them ropes, or you can have a lazy guy who don't want to climb himself. We can actually push him through that. Hey, didn't say no names. So here we're going to simulate where we're bringing him down to do an inspection where these orifice flange is. He could come down, and again, wherever he needs to be, he can actually have another sling. When we bring him down, he can position himself to pull himself in closer if he needs to be closer to that weld. So once he's down in the location, he can take another sling, another point of contact, and bring himself in. And to put this in perspective, again, the best way I can say it is if you had 2 towers, the way that I've seen this in the past, at 150 foot in the air, and you got one line that crosses from one to the other, and you say, hey, how am I going to access that? JLG ain't going to get there. Scaffold would, be a lot of scaffold. Well, again, picture this I-beam here being one tower, this structure being another tower. We can actually cross him over in between and drop him down. So it's kind of hard to understand and put in perspective, being that he's a couple feet off the ground. But normally if he was 150 foot off, we lowered him down on top of that, that line, that overhead line. All right. Now in this situation where either he's done and he don't feel like climbing back up the system himself, or he passes out, heat stress, whatever the case may be, 2 things can happen. We can lower him down straight where he's at, or we can bring him back up. Is that what y'all wanting to bring him back up? Or do y'all want to come to, y'all want to see him being, again, like I said, we can drop him straight to the ground from where he's at, or we can bring him back up and bring him back through the trolley system. Again, if we had that bosun seat, he would have no pressure on his body from that harness. Everything would be sitting in that seat. All the pressure would be down into that seat. Good job. The next demonstration we're going to perform is going to be a line break, perform our lethal services. We're going to loosen up and blind this vertical line coming off the valve here. All of our guys are going to be in full chemical suit, PPE, 100% PPE on this next job. All right, here we got our demonstration for the line breaking. Full PPE, supplied air. One thing I like to mention, we keep everything organized as far as our rope equipment. That don't just stop with just our ropes. That starts with our life-saving equipment, including our fresh air, our hoses. Everything's got to be implemented. Everything's got to be nice and protected, along with, kept neat and orderly. We don't want to have our hoses intermingled with our ropes tangled up, or have, the hose or ropes tangled up in structure. We want to have everything implemented where, in a case of situation, we can lower everybody down without having a hang-up. So right now they're on supplied air, imitating supplied air, but in a situation where we're on the ropes hanging in an area where something were to happen, we do have 30-minute escape packs with them also. So if something were to fail, our system would get it kinking it, they can switch over to that 30-minute pack and we can rescue them. Or those the 5-minute or 30-minute? 5-minute pack, sorry about that. Again, our guy here in the middle, he's actually on a system that can be controlled by the other guy. So whether he comes down by himself, rappels down to the point where he's got to work on, or the guy working his system for him, his backup, can actually lower him down, which is actually easier, less work physically he's got to do with that PPE and that suit on. Here we're going to move that blind and rotate that blind out. All of his tools, equipment again are tied off. Tool lanyard to his tool bucket. And again, all of our systems, we try to pre-rig, rig to lower, meaning in a situation, all of our anchors can be lowered and we don't have to send a rescuer to that person. And somebody asked earlier, how quick can you get them down? Or I know the tramway is a little different because you're going across horizontally, but as far as coming down, or if that tramway was at an angle, you could get them down as fast as you let that handle down he's got in his hand. But again, the whole part of the rescue and pre-rig to lower is controlled. Good job. Here we got our second flange break, line break here. So in this situation, as far as a rescue, if there was a situation where we couldn't lower him down, maybe there was a chemical on the ground we couldn't lower him directly into, or structure or something below him, again, we don't have to just lower straight vertically down. We can actually take him back up to where he started on a deck, a platform. And someone asked earlier about how quick we can retrieve somebody as far as pulling them. Can we only move them an inch at a time, a foot at a time? The answer is we can move them as far as our arms can pull. So for each pull he makes, depending on the length of pull, he basically moves that guy a foot. Now, if he could step back and he had plenty of room and he can actually take off with that rope and had 20 feet where he could just take that rope and pull 20 feet, he would move that guy 20 feet at a time. And not only do we do the rope access as far as a line breaking job, but if we were to install or replace this piping, we could set up another system with ropes and lower equipment, material down, and then raise it back up and put piping in place, whether it be in new spool pieces, valves. A lot of that stuff can be utilized with rope access also. It's not just lowering and raising personnel, but it's also raising and setting equipment and piping. And as far as the difference, if anybody's got questions as far as going from level 1, 2, or 3, it's based off of experience and hours. So as for, say, a level 2, 1,000 hours to 1 year, 500 hours to 1 year, depending on the sprat and errata. We Turner, we go above and beyond, so we're following the most stringent roles, which would be, we're gonna, I guess the RADA we're going to. It's got the more hours as far as your level 1 to level 2 to level 2 to level 3. Again, we work with a 3-man crew, one being a level 3 on each crew. We have actually our third person right now we're utilizing as a bottle watch. They now have got that line isolated, blocked off, opened up on both ends. Good job. Does anyone have any questions about anything that's going on as far as the line break? PPE requirements, capabilities? Any rope access? Anybody got any questions as far as rope access capabilities? What all can be done with ropes? We don't have any as far as you're talking about the different equipment we can utilize while doing rope access. There is none. And that all depends on his movement on its size, but as far as him going, he could actually tie himself off to that pipe where it keeps him from actually pulling away. He could put another sling around that pipe to keep him, to close that distance instead of pulling. You don't want him to push or pull and then push yourself away from where he's trying to tighten. So again, you have another sling that could go around a structure or that pipe itself. And we perform that. We have guys also, I don't know how, y'all, as far as the Dow's procedures, as far as having second party go up there and do it, but we also have trained guys that will do that sniff and leak test. We do have guys. Now whether it's leak tested and video or we have GoPro devices that we can use, or camera, or if it's something operations can sit there. If it's something that close, is there a distance where they can visibly watch that guy do this test?
A lot of times we use laser pointers and
And now the actual requirement too is the rescue out of the ascending device. Ascending is your climbing up, which is a tooth device. Here will be the simple rescue out of the descending device, the ID. That's every level should be able to do this. Minimum level 1. This is a level 1 maneuver. Basically, like I said, we try to set up all of our rescues. We're pre-rigged to lower. Sometimes that situation can't be feasible, but we are all trained in doing self-rescue, so we can actually send somebody to snatch onto a personnel and bring them down. So here we'll have that level 1 climb up to the casualty, and when he climbs up that casualty's backup line. That way, technically, both bodies are not on the same working line, main line at the moment. So he's actually climbing up his backup line. Now once he's able to get to him, check on him, find out what his status is, his vitals are, he could take away, go ahead and get him off of the working line onto himself. He will also, again, not only is he on 2 points, but once he attaches to that casualty, that victim, he will be on 2 points to himself also with that person. He will have what's called a short link, which will be a short link from him to that casualty that'll keep that casualty within inches of him, and he'll also have that second point, which is his cow's tail lanyard, will be his other point of contact. Here he's transferring from his ascending device back down to his descending device in preparation to go ahead and snatch the casualty. Here he's attaching his first point of contact, his longer cow's tail lanyard, to the casualty. Now he's hooking his short link. Short link to the casualty's chest. Now that he's hooked to 2 points of contact, he'll be able to lower the casualty down onto himself. Now his casualty is completely 100% onto him through his short link. And again, he's got a second point of attachment also. He'll clean up his ropes, get everything nice and organized where nothing could get tangled or caught up. And he'll go ahead and start his descend with him and the casualty to the ground. And again, once this situation occurs where we have to perform a rescue, one of the other persons, like I said, with the three-man crew, one of them will notify operations along with the safety. So they should already been notified and they're on site by the time he got down with that victim. Good job, Juan. Now, does anybody want to try it? We got plenty of extra harnesses. We got a Bosa seat.
The guys doing all the work.
Thank y'all.